Welcome back to Storytellers, where we go behind the book. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, and joining me today on her book birthday, her first book birthday for Falstaff, is Tamsin Silver.
Hi.
You guys don't know that because you're watching this in the future. So via the magic of time travel and video, it's your birthday. Happy book birthday.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Thanks so much.
So am I. I'm excited about this book. I'm excited about this project. I don't know if you know this. I'm a sucker for Westerns.
Are you?
I
What
am.
made you become a sucker for Westerns?
My dad.
Really?
My dad loved John Wayne movies. And I grew up watching John Wayne movies and with my dad, and I have been a sucker for Westerns my whole life. We have so many weird Westerns under contract.
Oh, really?
We've
Cool.
got the trilogy from you, which is launching today with The Curse of Billy the Kid. That's the Untold Legends series. We've got two books coming starting next year from Bishop O'Connell, which is a high fantasy Western.
Ooh.
Yeah. Elves
cool.
and dwarves and six shooters. Oh my.
Shit.
Yeah. We've got a space Western series that A.G. Carpenter does for us. And we've got another sci-fi pulp Western series that is done by a guy named H.K. Devonshire.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
we do a lot of Westerns.
No, you do now.
Yeah, I do now. So tell us a little bit about The Curse of Billy the Kid.
So The Curse of Billy the Kid came about because I wrote something else. There was a short story I did called, and don't anyone else try to pronounce it correctly, but it said The Curse of Skok. It's Gaelic, it's not my fault.
Holy shit, is that how you pronounce that?
Skok. Yeah, it's horrible.
That's worse than Worcester.
Right? I just know that everybody's going to say it scatch, and I don't care. Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I thought it was Scathic.
See? It doesn't matter. I do put in the books how to say it, but then I don't. I remind people once a book because I don't care enough to, like, keep doing it.
It's only going to become super relevant when it comes time to do the audio.
Right. And then the person who does that's going to hate me. And they'll be like, why would you do this? So Misty Massey was putting together her first, I think it was one of the first Weird Western anthologies. And this is back when I lived in New York. And I was like, I want to do an anthology. I wasn't in any yet. And so I said, well, what do I know about the West? And I looked up, you know, who do I know? Famous people. I was like, oh, Billy the Kid. I know who he was. No, I didn't. I ended up clicking on a story that is the reason Lincoln County War happened. And it was the murder of his boss that he was there for and felt responsible for. And so what happened was that it really intrigued me, and I went down the rabbit hole. And the more I learned about this war and how twisted it was with monopolies and the whole idea of mafia mentality, and the fact that Billy the Kid actually was trying to be a good guy and was, even though he'd killed some people, a lot of things were this way or that. And it was all things that I didn't know. And I thought, how cool is this that no one knows this? So I love putting real history into my stories that I write, because I normally write urban fantasy stuff, very strong female presence. And so this took me into a different area. But I still fell back and did some fantasy. I looked up, so there's Irish folklore that is the groundwork for the story. Okay. So Jimmy Dolan and Murphy and Billy and a lot of the people were Irish that were in this town, believe it or not. And so I decided to look up Irish folklore as my big bad, and that's who she is. She is the dark leader of the other world, and she is known as to be the creator of monsters and heroes, which I
Okay.
thought was really an interesting idea, and I wanted to explore that. And so I decided that Billy was the hero, and then I had created what monster I felt would fit best out in the West, which is a werewolf. And then trying to figure out why she would create both and how that would affect and maybe support what happened in the war there. And that's kind of how that started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did that story end up in that anthology?
No.
Well, rock on, because you didn't get into the anthology, but you got 3 novels out of the deal.
Right? And that's what Misty wanted. The reason it was turned down was because, and I remember, you never forget your rejection letters, man. But it said, we love this. We love the concept. We love the story. We love the voice of the character. We love the writing. We feel this is a novel, so we don't want to take it from you.
Yeah.
So
Can't really
you can go thank Misty Massey.
All right. I'm pretty sure that if people want to like zoom in, they can see that anthology behind me.
Is there? Which
I,
like I'm sure if they all zoom, they can see all kinds of stuff. Yep, there it is. I have it somewhere up here.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bottom shelf behind me is anthologies that I have stories in. The top shelf is novels and novellas that are standalones that I've written. And
Nice.
then obviously the shelf underneath that is all Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
We have figured out how to have our D&D game during the pandemic. We are going to do it online this Saturday night. We're super excited.
Are you using Roll20?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we play Authors and Dragons on. It's really stable, and the thing I like about it is that you can pop out your character sheet, so you can have your map and your character sheet visible.
Ooh.
And on another browser tab, you can have up Roll20 has all of the base stats for all the classes. So you can have your bard, for me, you can have how many spells does a bard get per level? What exactly does this ability do? And all that. So you've got everything at your fingertips.
Oh,
And
that's really cool.
Playing a lot quicker than, okay, which book is that in? Where are my reading glasses? Because, we ain't as young as we once were. And the print in D&D books is ridiculously small.
Oh yeah, no. I work part-time at Barnes and Noble when it's open, and thankful I get a discount on those.
Yeah, because they ain't cheap either.
No, and they just bumped us. For books, we get 40% off.
Nice.
Yeah. So someone's like, "Why do you still work 2 days a week?" I'm like, "The discount."
Yeah.
I'm like, the discount. It's extra money in my pocket. I enjoy seeing people. I miss people.
I do too. I miss my con people.
Oh, I do too.
I'm
really sad that Con Carolinas is not happening this year. But I really, for anyone watching this, if you've never been to Con Carolinas, you've missed out. And this year will be your chance to see why you missed out, because it will be online. So FYI.
Yes, there'll be live and recorded programming. You'll be able to see panels. You'll be able to see performances. You'll be able to see me DM a live game on Roll20. I generally DM a game at Con Carolinas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've
missed out.
Years. I run a game and we've got the author guest of honor. We've got several other author guests. So far this year, we've got Maurice Broadus, we've got Mikey Mason, and we've got Michael G. Williams. So I'm going to find us 1 or 2 more people, and it's called Authors and Bards.
Oh my God, I'm jealous. That's really cool.
Oh, wait till you hear what I'm doing to them. And I can say this here because this won't air until we're already working on the game. I'm making them all play bards. because I play a bard on Authors and Dragons, and I'm so tired of hearing people talk about how useless bards are. I'm like, no, the whole party's bards. Deal with it.
Oh, parties, bards, and go.
Yeah.
Our bard that we have on the game that I'm playing right now is he's one of the funniest people I know. I actually met him through NaNoWriMo.
Okay.
And he's a chef, and in real life, but he's playing a female bard, and we keep forgetting him saying and he's, I beg your pardon. Sorry. But yeah, she keeps getting herself in dire straits and in trouble, and I keep having to swoop in and try and save her. And they're like, you're not supposed to be the one that does it. I'm like, well, no one else is doing anything.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I'm the primary spellcaster for the Authors and Dragons party. So basically, the beginning of every combat, it isn't, okay, John, what do you want to do? It's, where are you casting Fireball?
Right, I'm a cleric. So, yeah.
Yeah, I cast a lot of fireballs. My barbarian ends up in a lot of them.
Yes, that's one of the ones. We just started the game, and we just killed something, so we are now just becoming level 3.
Oh,
so all of the new stuff.
Level of spell.
So so we are just leveling up. So we'll meet this weekend and level up, and then start. My character gets wings at level 3, so I'm like,
nice.
I know.
Are you Dragonborn?
No, it's an angelic. I can't think of it now.
Oh, okay. Azamar.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm one of those. So I get wings, and so I'm excited. Like, fireballs and wings. Yes.
It's the only way you're ever seeing angel wings there, sunshine.
So terribly true. So terrible. It's okay. I'm okay with that.
But now, to circle back around to
sorry about that tangent.
People who watch this channel, they know what they're getting.
Okay, good.
F-bombs and tangents.
Sweet.
Now, I don't know many authors with the level of dedication required to move 2,500 miles for a book. But you said when you were in New York, implying that you're not.
No.
You did move across the country.
I did.
Basically for this book.
Because of this book, yeah.
Yeah. So what is it about Billy the Kid and Lincoln County, New Mexico, and all of that that grabbed you that tightly?
So if you've ever seen anyone driving from New Mexico and you've seen their license plate, it says the land of enchantment. And it really is. It's beautiful here. If anyone follows my Facebook account, I love to post pictures when I go out. It's just stunning. But we also joke around that it's called the land of entrapment. Because you come here and you visit, and the next thing you know, you live here.
Some of it is the land of surprising altitude.
Oh, yeah. So I don't hurt as much here because we're not as young as we used to be. I don't have fibromyalgia, but I have a form of myalgia that is exacerbated by being in sea level or areas that have barometric pressure that changes a lot.
Okay.
And New York City, being an island, it's a little humid, has a lot of barometric pressure change. So I was living on pain meds. I took Norco twice a day, Celebrex. I took, all kinds of pain meds. And here, I take one little meloxicam during season changes, and that's it. I don't need anything else. I'm off any kind of controlled substance. I don't need to take, I take basically a drug that's been around forever that no one really knows about, and it's an NSAID, and it takes care of everything. So yeah,
that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I feel better. My knees don't hurt. My back doesn't hurt as much. I don't have to see it's changed my entire way of life. I can go walking and hiking, and I can go do all kinds of things here I couldn't do in New York. because my body hurt so much. So yeah, but that's only one reason I ended up here. I came out, well, let's back up. I'd known for a couple years it was becoming time to leave. So I'd lived in New York almost 16 years when I left. The problem with living in New York is that you make a good salary, but then rent starts going up and your salary doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then other things go up with that. And so whereas you're fine, you're here, and then all of a sudden, you know, everything else is going up, and you get a little bit of bump. You get a little bit, but soon it's like this.
Yeah.
And you find I couldn't afford to do anything. And New Yorkers are great in the fact that they are very, God, they're a family. It doesn't matter if they know you or don't know you. Like, as you can see right now with the pandemic that's going on, everybody has each other's back. Doesn't matter if they know each other. If something happens to New York, it happens to everybody at once, and they're there for each other. But they're also very busy people on a regular basis. And I was getting a little lonely, and I was finding I wanted to see the sky, and I wanted to have some freedom. And the only way I was going and doing anything was flying.
$1,000 a month for a broom closet.
And you saw my apartment.
Yeah, it's decent size.
Yeah,
for
it
an
was.
apartment.
It was.
You know, I have an 1,800 square foot house. Pretty sure that my mortgage is third or so what the rent on that apartment was.
If I had signed another lease for another year, it would have been $2,250 a year. I mean, $2,250 a month. Sorry, $2,250 a month for that 2-bedroom converted to a 3. Oh, by the way, they tried to stick me with that. They tried to say I put that false wall in myself, and I was like, oh no. I was like, oh, fuck you. No, congratulations. I have video. No, audio. I said, I have a recorded conversation with the person who used to run this place about that wall. If you would like to go to court, I will bring that with me. And it talks about me saying it's an illegal wall and them telling me it's not. So try again. So yeah, they backed off on that real quick. Then they tried to accuse me of damaging the floor in the bathroom. And I went, oh, you mean the pipe problem you never fixed? Here's all the emails from that. And they're like, never mind, here's a refund. I'm like, thank you. Thank you very much. Don't fuck with me. I've lived in New York too long. But you know, as much, I mean, I will always love New York City and I miss it. But I came out here, and the first time I visited, they drove me out to nowhere, and I'd driven through places of ghost towns on the way to Lincoln. And I was just like, how is there this much space? Because in New York, there's no real estate that's just open. But the second time I came, I stayed for 2 weeks, and this was the problem, is I stayed too long, and it trapped me. Mm-hmm. And I realized by the time I got on a plane to head back to New York that I felt like I was leaving where I belonged and heading somewhere I was visiting.
I remember that.
And I was like, oh shit. And this had happened to me when I was living in the Carolinas and was visiting New York for things. I had gotten that feeling where all of a sudden I was leaving home to go to North Carolina instead. And so when that happened, I was like, well, shit. So then I had to figure out what I was going to do. It's not like I'm 20. Someone's like, well, you could just move there. I'm like, hello, newsflash, I'm not 20. I can't live on someone's fucking couch. What am I supposed? What? I need health insurance and a job.
And I have shit.
Right? I have enough for an entire apartment.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, when Susie and I first moved in together, it was a little easier because I was just getting out of college.
Right.
But I still had stuff. And she still had stuff. But my God, when we moved into this house, out of our condo, I looked at her and said, the only way I'm leaving is if this place burns down or I'm going feet first. I'm not moving all that crap again.
And I just recently moved again. So I took, I work, as a lot of people probably know, I work for Presbyterian Hospital here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I actually took a job. I was in analytics for a few years, and the job just wasn't what I wanted. I mean, I love analytics, but I didn't want to be a coder. And
Okay.
they wanted me to learn, and they wanted me to learn SAS. And I'm like, hey, I'm sassy, but I am not SAS. Bad jokes for 500, Alex. So I found a new job, and I now support I actually support the medical directors and the doctors and the APCs, which is like a nurse practitioner, for the emergency department here in New Mexico. So you can imagine what my job's like at the moment.
Yeah.
So I took today off. Before this meeting, I literally got a call, and they're like, we're having problems because it's a 10 o'clock meeting that I normally have set up. So I logged into that meeting, got it set, got it going, reassigned who was in charge, left it, and then you popped up on my screen. And I'm like, there we go. Multitasking, damn it.
Yeah.
So I came out here, and there was blue sky, and you could just drive, and it was beautiful, and the sunsets, and the people here are just wonderful, and they're multicultural, which is something that's important to me. New York is very multicultural, lots of different languages, and there's like 19 different tribes here. You can be in the hospital and you can hear Navajo in one ear, and then you can, in the other ear, you can hear, full Spanish. And then, there's just a lot of different culture here, and everybody gets along and likes each other. And it's really kind of great to see. So I think that's the other reason why I really loved it. So all of a sudden I came out here for research, because, the rule to me was, well, if you haven't walked the land, don't walk. I'm like, how can you write this? Like, you've lived in the Midwest, you've lived in the East Coast, you lived in the South. What do you know about New Mexico? Nothing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come out here and actually walk where Billy walked. I wanted to stand over where he is supposedly buried, and I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to tell his mom that I was going to do right by him. I wanted to find Richard Brewer's grave, which is hard to find if you don't know where you're going. He is not somewhere anyone just will find. And I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to have that moment, and I wanted to have that connection. And it ended up making me move.
So what is it like writing a fantasy novel about real people?
Scary. There's been conversation lately about, well, do you think you're going to get sued? I'm like, no, the book says it's fiction. Hopefully they will not be mad.
There aren't really werewolves, kids. It's
right. There aren't really werewolves, supposedly.
We don't believe that Billy the Kid actually sold his soul to a Gaelic goddess of monsters and heroes.
Nope, we don't. But what's great is that when you're writing about real people, there is this amazing hug. The people of New Mexico love Billy the Kid.
Okay.
And the people in Lincoln specifically really love him, and they just embraced and took me in. They really just had this overwhelming support immediately. I was introduced to them, and oh, hey, she's writing a book and it's about Billy, and they're like, that's fantastic. I'm like, it's fiction, it's fantasy fiction. Like, we don't care. They're like, we don't care. Will it possibly bring people out here? Fantastic. But they quickly realized that I wanted the history as correct as I could get it. And that right there opened up all kinds of doors for me. One of the best historians alive today, other than, of course, Frederick Nolan, is Drew Gomber. And Drew Gomber lives there part of the year. And he will have a book coming out sometime soon about the history of the Lincoln County War, and I'm chomping at the bit for it. The man knows more than almost anyone else, and I've become a friend of his and his wife and a lot of other people out there who just were willing to share what they knew and what they'd learned. And even if you're talking about legend versus reality, like there are multiple things that people believe that really happened to him. And it's great to know all of them, because I'm writing fiction. And so I can play with it. And
Right.
right. So I can take, but what's wonderful is that I'll be writing a scene. I was working on a scene with Doc Scurlock.
Mm-hmm. Famously portrayed by Kiefer Sutherland.
This is true. Did you know that Doc Scurlock didn't actually have his 2 front teeth?
I'm pretty sure that Sutherland wouldn't go quite that far for the role.
I am pretty sure he wouldn't. But Doc Scurlock was someone shot him in a bar during game of cards, I think. And it went through the teeth and out the back of his neck, didn't kill him, but Doc killed that guy.
Yeah, that's a thing about shooting somebody. If you don't, you damn sure better kill him.
Oh yeah,
they're probably going to try to kill you right back.
Yeah, and Doc Scurlock was a dentist, which I always find is the kind of the funny part of that. But here's what was amazing: I'd written this scene with him and Brewer and Billy, and then it was the weekend, and I went out for an event in Lincoln, and in comes this family, and it was Doc Scurlock's family.
Whoa!
He had tons of kids, by the way. So it was the descendants of all of them. They came in. I got to meet them and say hello, but you know, they had planned lunch with Drew and them, and they were over there, and I just kind of got to sit like a little. Of course, they're like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and then they went over and had their lunch, and I was standing at the bar at Wortley Hotel, and it was just this really great thing to be like, I was just writing about your relative, and that's the kind of thing I love about it, is that every time I go to town, I'll meet someone else who goes, oh yeah, who was it? There's actually a young man in my writing group who is related to the people who got the land grant out there, the Maxwells. And so he's looking up pictures and stuff and starting to send me things that he's finding while he's on lockdown with his kids. So, but yeah, one of the great things about writing, it's scary because you don't want to portray them wrong.
Right.
But you also know you want to tell a good story. I've had people ask me, so is Billy the good guy or the bad guy in your story? I'm like, he's the reluctant hero. He's the good guy. And he's like, Billy wasn't a good guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and that's okay that you think that.
Yeah. Well, look, some people just need shooting.
That's true.
So there have been a lot of adaptations of the Billy the Kid legend. The multiple legends.
Yes.
Have there been many fantasy adaptations?
No, and I only know of one other, and I didn't learn about it until recently, and I actually have it. Hang on. Hang on a sec.
This is when we find out if Tamsin's actually wearing pants.
I'm wearing pants, oh no! Actually, I guess you probably still couldn't tell. All right. Recognize that author's name?
No.
Rodolfo Ayala? Look it up. He's pretty amazing. There's a movie, something Fatima. Shoot, I can't think of it. My friend's gonna kill me. She showed me a thing. Do you have Google handy? Got your phone
do.
Handy? Anyway, it's the title is Chupacabra Meets Billy the Kid.
So I approve. I approve of anything with Chupacabra. This dude wrote a bunch.
Yeah.
He wrote a ton.
There's a movie, and that was well known. If you say it, I'll recognize it. That's fantastic that I've seen, but it was filmed in New Mexico. And of course, I'm like, maybe I'll find it. But it is, but yeah, I have not read it yet, so I can't tell you if it's any good.
Well, he's still around.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not a young man, so it was a valid concern. He's in his 80s, but he lives in Albuquerque.
Yes, he does.
You guys should do a signing together.
I don't know. It's a thought. I hadn't. So it was. Let me see. When did this come out? Let me look. Publishing date. I do not see it at the moment because I'm trying to read quickly. But yeah, no. Someone brought this up to the desk, who had been talking to me about Billy the Kid, and they at Barnes and Noble, like, "Have you seen this?" I was like, "Give me that. What is that?" And it's literally the only other fantasy Billy the Kid I've ever seen. And I work at a bookstore, so partially. So that's the only one. I mean, the movies, I don't even know if there's movies. I'm sure there's other books that
That book's
I know
only
there's
2 years old.
Really?
That book came out in 2018.
Okay, I gotta find this guy.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
have to see.
Yeah, according to Google, it came out in 2018.
Well, that'll explain why I hadn't heard of it.
And
Huh.
it's one of his YA books.
Very cool.
The Curse of Billy the Kid, not a YA book.
So not technically.
No.
I mean, he is 19 during the story. So the book is in 2 time periods, as you know.
Right.
It's in 1949 and in 1878. As the series continues, it will travel a few years in both sections as we deal with history. But he looks a little older by the time we see him in 1949. He has let himself age just a couple years, got the teeth fixed, you know. Magic's great because I don't think they had braces yet, other than I don't know. But he's 19, but I think the themes are a little more adult than young adult.
I think more thematically, it's not a YA book.
Thematically, it's not a YA. Could your 16-year-old read it? Sure. There's no sexual content. There is some cursing. Billy's favorite curse word was "son of a bitch," by the way, because anytime you read anything where they've quoted him, he's always saying "son of a bitch." So I don't know. But there is some swearing. There is adult content and jokes. So you know, but it's not a YA story.
No. So the first book is Curse of Billy the Kid.
Right.
It's available now in ebook, paperback, and hardcover. We'll start working towards an audio book once the world restarts and it's easier to find narrators. The second book, which will be coming soon, is
Torment of Richard Brewer.
I can't remember which is which in order because I haven't done the layout on 2 and 3 yet.
That's okay.
So the Torment of Richard
I'm still
Brewer,
finishing book 3, so that's understandable.
That explains why I haven't done the layout. It's not on me this time.
No. Book 2's done.
Yes.
But book 3 is still just being finished. Pandemic has put a little bit of a hitch in that, so but it's over halfway done.
And that's the Cricket Kugler book?
Yes. Yeah. Cricket Kugler was a waitress in New Mexico back in 1949. She was murdered horribly. And it was the first big murder that shook the state. And her death literally not only switched the party that ran the state, it went from being Democrat to Republican. It also caused the state to not become Las Vegas. So the gangsters had all moved in. They were starting to set up shop. They loved Las Cruces. They loved how close it was to New Mexico. They loved how there was a lot of space and places to bury things. They had actually bought and were starting to build a huge casino in Santa Fe. And they were really looking for New Mexico to be where the mafia and them ran their casinos.
Huh.
And when Cricket was killed because she knew too much about things, they thought that would solve their problem. It did not solve their problem. It actually made it worse, because that's how all the underlying gambling that was illegal, because they were looking into her stuff, and they were getting, it was all being covered up by the officials and the sheriff and everything. And so they turned to what they could. It's kind of like with Capone, we got him on tax evasion, right? So in this, they couldn't get him on the murder for cricket. So what they did is they got them on illegal gambling. So all the illegal gambling going on got squashed, and Las Vegas was born.
Wow.
So yeah, so this 18-year-old girl is killed because they think it'll solve all their problems, and in the end, it's what drove them out of New Mexico, and New Mexico did not end up Sin City.
And that will be the third book.
Yes, the third book deals with her. You'll meet her. That was the coolest thing ever. I wrote her. So Billy meets her in 1949. He comes into her diner, and I got to write her, and I got to give her words and give her a personality and give her life again for a while. And that was truly, my eyes are misting just talking about it. I've visited her grave. I've talked to her. I got to give her life back, and that was something that was really great. So I'm excited about, you meet her in book 2. So that'll be something that'll be great.
Now, speaking of graves, you mentioned earlier the grave where Billy the Kid is supposedly buried. There's a lot of different stories about what happened. What was the end of Billy the Kid?
Yeah.
What are some of the stories, and which one, and what do you think happened?
I get asked this all the time.
Well, good. Then you should have an answer.
So, part of me, there's a portion of me that wants to say he didn't die that day. But it makes no sense, because he loved Lincoln. He loved New Mexico. He knew he should have left. Look, if he just, when he killed, the problem is he killed Bell and then when he killed the 2 sheriff deputies, when he broke out of jail, that's when he should have left New Mexico. If he had left New Mexico at that time and gone anywhere, Mexico itself, anywhere, he probably would have lived a lot longer. I won't say a full life, because I don't know if he could stop himself from stealing horses and playing Monty. And but I think that Garrett killed him. Which a lot of people will be like, no. But there's a part of me that says that part of me that writes fantasy, the part of me that loves to believe in these stories, that says, and the part of me that knows government covers up shit for reals. Okay? You know government covers up shit for reals, so no one, let's not lie about that. We all know some of it is. And so the part of me that knows that also believes it's possible that it was Billy Wilson that was killed. And that Billy's girl went to the grave and cried over him, either because she was covering or because they didn't tell her he was actually alive. And so, because even someone who has studied him, and I have that little bit that wants to believe he lived, but on most things, I'll tell you, I really do think that Garrett got lucky that day and shot him, and it was true. One of the most fantastical stories I heard, though, is kind of fun, and so I'll share it.
All right.
My first trip to Mexico, I stayed at the Ellis store, and there was an older couple running it in their 90s. And they believed he escaped to England.
Okay.
So they believed that because Billy loved to write letters, they thought that he had also written to the Tunstall family, that they had, because he tried so hard to get, justice for their son, that they had helped him escape and get to England. And the reason that they believe that is that there's a small little town right next door to where the Tunstalls were living, And the town was very similar to Lincoln in how it was. And there's a tombstone there that says William H. Bonney. And the year of death coincides with what had been a normal length of life.
Well,
And the Bonney, so people know of the Bonney family there. So that's why.
so you know what you have to write next, right? Billy the Kid was supposedly killed in what, 1881?
Yes.
So if Billy the Kid goes to England in 1881, then Billy the Kid meets Jack the Ripper.
Why do you steal things you should know I'm already looking at?
I'm not stealing it because I ain't writing that shit.
Oh, I am.
I write historical fantasy.
So yeah. But here's what's really funny. I learned about this idea after I'd already designed the regulators. So in my story, the regulators are a group of people from England and
Right.
Ireland who regulate supernatural activity.
Okay.
And as things go along, they end up being part of SIS, James Bond, blah, blah, blah idea. There's nods there. And so he is going to be, my plan always has been that when he leaves in 81, he goes to England for training. And that will be that is something I'm planning to write.
Cool. Because it makes sense.
Yeah. So,
it all follows. It tracks.
So it'll be cool to, that's why I love the world that I spent years reading. I mean, I traveled around. So if you're a big Billy the Kid person, if you do not have one of these, I highly recommend it. You can tell that I have lived and breathed in this book for years.
That's a lot of book.
This is one of over 25 that I've used for research. But this is my Bible. I call this the Billy the Kid Bible, and it's by Frederick Nolan. But like reading all this, I mean, I really wanted to create a world that I could do offshoots from. So I already have some in mind for that if and when this does well.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, today's the day. So I'm going to let you get back to your day. I'm going to go reheat last night's wings because I'm 3 hours ahead of you and it's lunchtime for Fatty.
2 hours ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost 11 a.m. here.
Yeah, it's almost 1 here. So I'm going to go play my favorite game, which is called Feed the Fat Guy. And then we'll get back to some more promotion of new stuff. Where can people find you other than at falstaffbooks.com?
People can find me at tamsinsilver.com. If you go to there's actually a new tab there about me that has pictures of where I live as well. There's pictures in there of Lincoln. There is information about the books, and not just about Billy, but the other stuff I write as well.
And when she says pictures of where she lives, not like the front of her house, you sickos. That's going to cost extra, and you're going to have to hire somebody.
Yes. No, pictures of the beautiful scenery in New Mexico.
All right. Well, thank you for taking a few minutes to hang out with us. It's always good to talk to you.
It's always good to talk to you too. Thanks so much for having me on, and thanks so much for believing in the series. It means a lot.
I'm really looking forward to reading it. I haven't read it yet.
I've put it together. It looks beautiful. I have no idea what's in it.
I've put it together. I've given you notes.
It's true.
The hilarious thing, and I was talking about this with Melissa, my associate publisher, who is the editor for this book.
I love her.
It's weird, the things that catch your eye as I'm going through doing layout. Because I have to scroll through and I take out the extra spaces between scene dividers. I make sure that the dates are set for the right thing so that March 1949 doesn't have a giant M in it. I have to go through and I scroll through and I kind of let my eyes relax. But every once in a while, something just catches me, and I'm like, there's not a game that uses 8 pool balls.
I know. I was dying laughing. Oh my God.
I looked at that and I'm like, I'm pretty sure she means they're shooting 8-ball, but let's just send off an email.
I'm like, no, there are 15 balls plus the cue. I said, what is wrong with me? There was one actually when the editors, Melissa also, I think his name was Joe, that also looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
He found something where the line was, you were on our radar. And it's such a, yes. And that one, the radar wasn't a thing yet.
If you're on anybody's radar in 1878, there's a lot of time travel going on.
There's a lot of time travel going on. So I literally just saw it and I just started to laugh.
Yeah. And
it
now
happens.
that, as a reader, I would be, oh my God, how did they get that wrong? And now as a publisher, I'm like, everybody can't know everything.
You hope for the best.
Yeah.
One of the things I had to really do though is because there's no electricity and they need to have light, I had to create something magical to give them light.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I had to remember what time of day something happened and know whether or not they needed to have torches, light, lamps. And then if the moon was up, because of the way I've created the folklore around the werewolves. So I have like pictures and things of when the moon rises, sunset, so that I know what I need in the scene. So I'm sure that someone might find an error with that too. And I'm going to be like, look, I tried.
Erin Penn, one of our other editors, would be so proud of you.
Oh, really?
She tracks phases of the moon in the books that she edits.
Oh, wow.
I saw that and I was like, I'm just never mentioning the moon again.
Never again.
Because I will screw it up. It's all I can do to remember what color eyes somebody has.
Yeah, that's why Melissa's Bible that she creates for these is like, it is the saving grace. As I'm working on book 3, I literally was like, I might need to talk to Melissa or reread some of my own stuff here, because I found something when I was going through when you sent me notes, and I was like, oh yeah, that.
Yep.
Make note.
Oh yeah. I just came back to writing a new Bubba novella, and it had been a year since I had written any Bubba. So I had to have the last thing up in a PDF. Yeah. I was like, what's her name? Wait, did this happen? Yeah. No. Uh-huh. And having a Melissa has been an incredible help to me on so many projects.
Yes, someone asked, what do you think the reason is you ever made it this far? And I'm like, good editors.
Yeah. Oh, what I was going to say is I used to be a reader who was like, how can you not know this variation of poker doesn't play that way? And now I'm like, no, I cannot remember the difference between a Glock 17 and a Glock 19 without looking it up. So I completely get that somebody who's never been in the poker world doesn't understand the difference between 5-card draw and 5-card stud. I get it.
That's why I came out here and made someone find me a revolver around the same kind that Billy would have used and teach me how to fire it.
Nice.
Because I wanted to see how long it took to fire. I wanted to see what it was like to reload it. And that changed how I wrote scenes.
Yeah.
The minute he shoots 12 shots, because if he's got 6 in each gun, plus how many are in a rifle, he can't shoot anymore.
No.
Because it is not dump, throw in. You've got to, with those old ones. Yeah.
There were no speed loaders in 1878. No. Was there smokeless powder then?
I don't think so.
Because smokeless powder was such a huge improvement to accuracy.
Oh yeah. Because the reason one of the, I won't give it away anything, but the reason one of the characters in the story is shot in the head is because the person firing sees the smoke from the last shot.
Yeah.
So he takes aim, he waits, and when this character's head pops up, he gets shot. And so my guess is no, they still had a lot of smoke in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are those kind of weird details that one person will catch.
Yeah. Did you know, fun fact, someone told me, when someone is shot in the head, they don't go backwards?
I did not know that.
I guess Mythbusters did something on it, and they hit and they go forward, which made more sense.
No, yeah.
Which made sense when I heard that this person that was shot in the head, they said that he'd fallen onto the wood pile that he was, and I was like, but wouldn't he have gone? No. So yeah,
No,
stupid
because the
thing.
explosive force of the back of their head going away would propel them forward, as opposed to hitting the meat of the body, where it doesn't go through.
That will send you back, but not necessarily
here, where you've got basically an explosion this way. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yep. So yeah, this adventure is taking me to learn all kinds of stupid trivia.
Well, so, we will talk again soon, because you've got a lot more books coming from us.
That's true.
At least 3 more this year.
Yes.
That's a bunch.
You've got Moon, because Moon Over Manhattan will come up before the end of the year.
Yeah, Moon Over Manhattan probably would have come out this summer if we hadn't scheduled these 3 books to release tightly.
Yes, that's correct. That's okay.
So everybody else, pay attention. Go to Tamsin's website. There's a link in the show notes. Check out falstaffbooks.com, and you can also see her on some of the programming on Con Carolinas and on Continual.
Yes, you can. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you, Tamsin. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.